Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you here today with an article from the Daily Signal dated August 30th by the man Dennis Prager himself. And if you don't know who that is, there's a YouTube channel called PragerU. You can go and check it out. And do go ahead and do that. So let's get into the article. It says, Why Young Americans Are Not Taught About Evil. And I saw the headline, just kind of was like, this is interesting. I think I'll want to talk about this. I've skimmed the article. I haven't read it completely through. So we're going to be learning basically about this at the same time. So, well, that would be kind of the face of evil right there. Sorry, I suddenly just developed the hiccups. That would be Chairman Mao, but let's go into the article. It says most of our schools teach almost nothing of importance, and nothing is more important than the study of good and evil. In the United States today, nearly all schools, from elementary through graduate, concentrate on teaching about racism, sexism, preferred pronouns, homophobia, transphobia, LGBTQIA+, climate change, diversity, equity, inclusiveness, and white guilt. In other words, most of our educational institutions, including the most prestigious, do not educate. Here are a few proofs. Excuse me, now I get the coughing too. We're doing real good on this video. So it says it is almost certain that the great majority of American high school and college students, with the obvious exceptions of Christian students, could not name the four Gospels, presuming they even know what they are, five of the Ten Commandments, presuming they know what those are, or the names of two Shakespeare plays. Oh God, this is testing me. I definitely can't do the four Gospels. I'm a Jew. I'm not religious. I don't know that. And I'm kind of ashamed that I don't. I probably should anyway. Five of the Ten Commandments. What? Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, and other stuff too. I'm not going to go into it. Probably, if I really needed, it'd probably take me an hour. And I probably could come up with five, but that's maybe the extent of it. I don't know what they are, of course, and or the names of two Shakespeare plays, what like Richard III and Romeo and Juliet, and I could go on about those because I've actually read a number of them and took a couple of college courses about Shakespeare. So yes, I can actually do that one quite well, and I'm proud to say I can do that. I haven't read them in a while though. But anyway, says most American students know little about the American Revolution, let alone about the French or Russian revolutions. The same holds true for the Constitution and every other American founding document. It is doubtful that, other than Washington and Jefferson having owned slaves, American students know anything about these men or could name two other founders. I'll go with John and Sam Adams, or even John Hancock, the dude with the signature. So why not? Not Herbie Hancock, Chris Farley, just John Hancock. It says when it comes to evil, the ignorance is enormous, often almost total. For example, according to Pew, about half of Americans ages 18 to 39 cannot identify Auschwitz or any other Nazi death camp. I mean, you're talking about like looking at a picture and saying which one it is. I mean, I doubt a lot of people would be able to do that unless you study it. But yeah, of course, I know what Auschwitz is, or if you were to say the names of them, I'd be able to tell you. So I'm glad I'm in the good side on that one. It says, and there is every reason to assume that much fewer than half could identify the Gulag archipelago, which is 20 million plus murdered. Yeah, I do. I know that. The Ukrainian forced famine. Yeah, I know about that as well. It's at 5 to 6 million murdered in a little over a year. And Mao's Great Leap Forward, it's about 60 million murdered, or Pol Pot in the Khmer Rouge, about one in every four Cambodians murdered. Yeah, I just watched The Killing Fields like a month or two ago. And yeah, that'll let it sink into you really quick. As noted, almost no one outside of Russia has ever heard of the Russian Civil War, let alone knows anything about it. One reason is that the winners, the communists, had no desire that people know about it. Yet, according to the Encyclopedia Britannica, about 10 million people, the great majority non-combatants, were killed. Yeah, the Russian Civil War happened right on the heels of World War One. It was in 1918, and that's when the Tsar and his family were murdered. So, yeah, go look it up. It's one of those wars that people probably should know about all over the place because it, as it says here, ushered in communism. It says, why don't students know about evil? So the first reason is that nearly all of the genocides of the 20th century were committed by communists, and the left, which runs virtually all educational institutions, has always had a soft spot for communism. I see nothing but facts in that paragraph. It says if people will recognize that communism has been the greatest source of evil in the modern age in terms of numbers murdered, number of lives destroyed, liberty stolen, and the sheer amount of human suffering inflicted, which is greater by those metrics than those of the Nazis before they were forcibly stopped, the left would lose much of its appeal. Yeah, the left has a habit of demonizing, fascism, which is also a left-wing thing, mind you. So just another one of the other ideologies, and no one seems to know about communists and all the stuff they've done. They always try to say like everyone's just going to be able to run around and sit around and just do whatever they want and sit on their farm and play music all day. And it's like your farm? No, it's not how it works, pals. Says, so another reason is the foolish notion that people are basically good, which I have never agreed with. It says this has been a left wing belief since the French Enlightenment under the leader Jean Jacques Rousseau came up with the idea. As he wrote in his book on philosophy, morality, and religion, man is a naturally good being, loving justice and order. There is no natural perversity in the human heart. All the vices imputed into the human heart are not natural to it. Yeah, like I said, I've never thought humans are essentially good. I think they're essentially evil, and you got to shape them. Evil, I shouldn't say that. That's kind of the wrong word. I'd say just not good, if you will. Like you got to shape people to be good. Otherwise, the lawlessness that you see in our big cities these days is kind of what you get when you have people that don't share those values. That's not good stuff. Says this nonsense has been foreign to the Western mind. In its view, humanity was rooted in the Bible, and neither Bible-based religion, as Judaism, or Christianity, affirm the goodness of the human heart. As Genesis states, what the band? No, I'm kidding. Says the will of man's heart is evil from his youth, and the rest of the Bible repeatedly warns us against following our hearts. However, as the West began to abandon the Bible, including belief in the God of the Bible, Westerners began to believe in man. So we went to a narcissistic type mindset. So as Marx put it, man is God. People had no choice. For if there is no God to believe in, one must believe in man, or one has literally nothing to believe in. Therefore, belief in man's inherent goodness became both psychologically and philosophically necessary. A third reason follows from the second. With the exception of the mass murder of the Armenians, which was committed by Muslim Turks, the genocides and the other horrors of the 20th century were committed by secular regimes. Given the centrality of secularism to leftism, this fact has been kept from young people. That's 100% correct. There's likewise the fact that all these genocides were committed by big governments is not taught to young people because big government is also central to left-wing ideology. In other words, a true depiction of the evils of the 20th century would mean that the end of the two pillars of left-wing ideology, secularism and big government. We want to make a more moral world, you must begin with the study of evil. But for reasons enumerated here, the left is not and cannot be interested in fighting real evil. So the left fights made up evils. American systemic racism, which isn't the thing, transphobia, capitalism, the thing that's helped you get the society that you're in right now. And of course, they want to usher in a communist system that would not bring forth any of that. Carbon emissions, it's a hoax, sexism, and former President Donald Trump, to name a few. So this is why young people know almost nothing about evil. The left doesn't want them to know about it because knowledge of evil inevitably leads directly to rejection of the left. That's a really good article, and I kind of couldn't have said it better myself. And I was actually just talking with my mom this morning, and that came up. I think she was the one that brought up about, where was it? Yeah, just that, uh, you know, you're not allowed to say like the Pledge of Allegiance in schools anymore. And I said that even before I started looking into political things, like even as like a decade ago, I was thinking about that, that God was missing from the system, in schools and everything. And I'm not religious. I don't have any real need for religion in my life. I couldn't explain why that is. I don't feel like I'm missing it, but like as someone that's a religious, if you will, but a proud Jew, I still firmly believe that God is what's missing from the whole thing, and you probably can't convince me otherwise. And that would fix our society probably right and good if we started getting that back into things. But anyway, what do you think about this article? What do you think about Dennis Prager's comments? What do you think about why young Americans are not taught about evil? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.